You're listening to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, created to help you succeed in your Security Plus certification journey. Learn more at baremetalcyber.com, where additional prepcasts, books, and training materials await. Let's get started. A load balancer is a device or software service that distributes incoming network traffic across multiple backend servers or services. Its core function is to prevent any single server from becoming overwhelmed while ensuring users experience reliable and responsive applications. Think of it like a traffic cop at a busy intersection, directing vehicles to different lanes so no one lane clogs. Without a load balancer, high-demand services such as web applications, e-commerce sites, or databases could quickly collapse under traffic surges, leaving users frustrated and systems unavailable. In cybersecurity, this distribution role has direct implications for availability, one of the three pillars of the confidentiality, integrity, and availability triad. Load balancers use different algorithms to decide where to send each incoming connection, and the choice of algorithm can significantly affect performance. A round-robin approach distributes traffic evenly, giving each server its turn. Least connections assigns new requests to the server currently handling the fewest connections, ensuring balance under uneven workloads. Weighted algorithms give preference to stronger servers, such as those with more memory or faster CPUs. Hash-based approaches consistently map clients to the same server, often using IP addresses or session data. Selecting the right algorithm is not a trivial task. It requires matching backend capacity with workload type to achieve stability and fairness. Health checks are the mechanism load balancers use to determine whether backend servers are ready to handle requests. These checks might involve sending periodic HTTP requests, pinging servers, or verifying that a specific service port is open. If a server fails a health check, the load balancer automatically removes it from rotation until it recovers. This prevents users from being sent to servers that are down or misbehaving. For example, if a database server stops responding, the load balancer will reroute new queries to healthy instances. Health checks transform load balancing from simple distribution into intelligent decision-making, ensuring both resilience and user satisfaction. Session persistence, also known as session affinity, is a load balancer feature that ensures a client's requests always go to the same backend server. This is important when applications maintain state, such as shopping carts or login sessions, on a specific server. However, persistence can be harmful if overused. It can overload one server while leaving others underutilized, undermining the benefits of load balancing. For example, in a multi-server web app, binding all of a user's traffic to one server may simplify session handling but create uneven distribution. Security practitioners must weigh the convenience of persistence against the risk of performance bottlenecks. Load balancers can operate at different layers of the OSI model, with key distinctions between Layer 4 and Layer 7 load balancing. Layer 4 load balancers work at the transport layer, distributing traffic based on IP addresses and TCP/UDP ports without inspecting the payload. Layer 7 load balancers, by contrast, examine application-level data such as HTTP headers, cookies, or even content. This allows for more sophisticated routing, such as sending image requests to one server pool and API calls to another. Layer 7 balancing provides deeper control but introduces more overhead. Choosing between them depends on performance requirements, complexity, and the need for content-aware routing. Sensors, in a security context, are devices or software agents that detect conditions on networks or endpoints. Examples include intrusion detection systems, IDS, intrusion prevention systems, IPS, and network detection and response, NDR platforms. Sensors act like the senses of the human body, alerting the larger system when something feels off. They might monitor for unusual patterns, such as repeated failed logins, or identify suspicious packets in network flows. Sensors serve as an organization's eyes and ears, giving visibility into ongoing activities that might otherwise pass unnoticed. Without them, Defenders operate in the dark, relying only on logs and outcomes rather than real-time detection. The distinction between inline and passive sensors defines how they interact with traffic. Inline sensors, such as IPS devices, sit directly in the traffic path and can block malicious activity in real time. Passive sensors, like IDS systems, observe mirrored traffic without interfering, alerting administrators when they detect suspicious events. Inline deployment allows immediate defense, but risks introducing latency or downtime if the sensor fails. Passive deployment avoids becoming a bottleneck, but cannot stop attacks on its own. Organizations often use both, blending passive visibility with inline enforcement, depending on whether availability or real-time blocking takes priority in a given environment. Placing sensors in the right locations is just as important as choosing the correct type. Sensors positioned at the network perimeter can detect external threats entering the environment, while those placed internally may uncover lateral movement or insider threats. For example, deploying sensors on critical network segments like databases or finance servers ensures visibility into high-value areas. Poor placement, on the other hand, can leave blind spots where attackers operate undetected. A thoughtful placement strategy ensures maximum coverage without unnecessary duplication, helping administrators see the full picture of activity across the network while optimizing cost and efficiency. Load balancers and sensors produce telemetry that supports observability, the ability to understand system health and behavior through data. Load balancers generate logs about connection distribution, performance metrics, and SSL usage, while sensors produce alerts about suspicious activities and traffic anomalies. This telemetry, when exported to centralized monitoring systems, allows security teams to correlate events across multiple layers. For instance, a load balancer log showing unusual traffic surges could be correlated with a sensor alert flagging potential distributed denial of service activity. Together, they create a coherent view of both infrastructure performance and security posture, enabling proactive rather than reactive responses. Redundancy is vital for load balancers because, if they fail, the systems behind them may become unreachable. Ironically, a load balancer itself can become a single point of failure if deployed without backup. High availability designs use pairs or clusters of load balancers with failover capabilities, ensuring traffic continues to flow if one instance goes down. For example, in a data center, 2 load balancers may synchronize state so that connections continue seamlessly after a failure. Without redundancy, organizations risk building resilience at the backend level only to lose it at the traffic distribution point. This makes redundancy a baseline requirement. One of the advanced roles load balancers can play is offloading transport layer security (TLS) operations from backend servers. Encrypting and decrypting traffic is computationally expensive, and shifting this responsibility to the load balancer improves backend efficiency. However, this offloading introduces cryptographic considerations. The load balancer now becomes a trusted entity handling plaintext traffic after decryption. For example, a web load balancer may terminate TLS connections and forward unencrypted requests to servers. While this boosts performance, it also requires strict trust boundaries and encryption of internal links if confidentiality is a concern. The trade-off must be evaluated carefully in secure architectures. Ultimately, correct configuration of load balancers and sensors is what transforms them from generic infrastructure components into reliable defenders of performance and security. Misconfigured load balancers may create bottlenecks or expose unencrypted data, while poorly tuned sensors can drown analysts in false positives or miss genuine attacks. Success lies in aligning settings with the organization's needs, choosing the right algorithms, defining health checks, limiting session persistence, and strategically placing sensors. When properly configured, these devices act in concert, improving both reliability and detection. They embody the principle that strong cybersecurity is not about isolated tools, but about their integrated, intentional use. For more cyber-related content and books, please check out cyberauthor.me. Also, there are other prepcasts on cybersecurity and more at baremetalcyber.com. Advanced load balancer features extend beyond simple traffic distribution adding powerful security and optimization capabilities. SSL offload is one such feature, allowing the balancer to handle encryption tasks and free backend servers for application logic. Many load balancers can also integrate with web application firewalls, WAFs, adding an extra layer of inspection that filters malicious payloads targeting web applications. Rate limiting, another advanced function, prevents abuse by capping how many requests a client can send in a given period, defending against denial of service attempts or brute force login attacks. These features demonstrate how load balancers serve as both efficiency enablers and frontline defenders in modern architectures. Health check tuning is equally important because overly strict or poorly configured checks can remove healthy servers from rotation unnecessarily. For example, a server responding slowly due to a temporary spike may be marked as failed, even though it is still functional. Conversely, a lax health check might fail to detect when an application service crashes while the host continues to respond to pings. Tuning involves selecting meaningful tests, such as verifying an HTTP response code from a critical endpoint and setting appropriate thresholds for retries and timeouts. Proper tuning ensures that health checks support resilience rather than creating disruption. In dynamic environments such as cloud deployments, load balancers often integrate with autoscaling groups to adapt capacity based on demand. Autoscaling automatically adds or removes backend servers in response to workload fluctuations, with the load balancer distributing traffic accordingly. For example, an e-commerce site might add servers during a holiday shopping surge, then scale back during normal periods. Without this integration, load balancers would lack awareness of newly provisioned instances or continue directing traffic to servers that no longer exist. Integrating autoscaling ensures elasticity, allowing businesses to balance performance, cost, and security in real time. Sensors also require careful tuning, particularly in signature management and detection rules. An untuned intrusion detection system, IDS, may generate thousands of alerts daily, overwhelming analysts with false positives. Over time, this can create alert fatigue, where real threats are missed because they blend in with noise. Proper sensor tuning involves disabling irrelevant signatures, customizing thresholds, and continuously updating rules based on threat intelligence. For instance, disabling signatures that only apply to unused operating systems can dramatically reduce noise. A tuned sensor becomes a precise tool rather than a blunt instrument, enabling teams to focus on meaningful threats. Encrypted traffic poses unique challenges for sensors, as much of today's network communication is secured with TLS. While this protects data from interception, it also blinds sensors to payload content unless traffic is decrypted. TLS inspection, sometimes handled by load balancers or dedicated appliances, allows sensors to analyze decrypted traffic for malicious patterns. However, this introduces privacy and performance trade-offs, as decryption adds latency and exposes sensitive content internally. Organizations must weigh the benefit of visibility against the risks of handling decrypted traffic, often applying inspection selectively to balance confidentiality with security detection. Correlating telemetry across load balancers, sensors, and application logs creates a fuller picture of events. Each device offers a partial perspective. Load balancers report on traffic distribution, sensors flag anomalies, and applications provide context about user behavior. When combined, they reveal deeper patterns. For instance, a sudden surge in requests flagged by the load balancer, coupled with sensor alerts for suspicious payloads and application logs showing failed logins, might point to a coordinated attack. Centralized correlation in a SIEM platform turns isolated data into actionable intelligence, empowering defenders to detect and respond with greater speed and confidence. Capacity planning is vital for both load balancers and sensors to handle peak load without failure. A load balancer that cannot handle high connection volumes becomes a bottleneck, while a sensor unable to process high throughput may drop packets and miss critical threats. Administrators must anticipate peak demand, whether during seasonal business surges or anticipated attack scenarios. This planning involves stress testing, monitoring utilization, and scaling infrastructure as needed. Without proper capacity planning, security and performance degrade precisely when they are needed most, turning essential defenses into liabilities under pressure. Inline sensors inevitably introduce some latency because they sit directly in the traffic path. The degree of latency depends on how much inspection they perform, particularly with deep packet inspection or TLS decryption. To mitigate this, organizations may use high-performance hardware, parallel processing, or selective inspection strategies. For example, critical real-time applications may bypass intensive checks, while high-risk flows receive full scrutiny. Balancing latency against security is a constant trade-off, but careful design ensures inline sensors provide strong defense without undermining user experience. The key is recognizing that every microsecond counts in performance-sensitive environments. Securing management channels and APIs is just as important for load balancers and sensors as it is for any other appliance. Attackers who gain administrative access can disable protections, manipulate logs, or reroute traffic for malicious purposes. Best practices include isolating management interfaces on dedicated networks, enforcing multi-factor authentication, and monitoring for unusual administrative activity. APIs, which are increasingly used for automation and orchestration, also need protection through strong authentication and rate limiting. Neglecting these areas can turn the very tools meant to enforce security into vectors for compromise. Testing and validation are essential to ensure that load balancers and sensors operate as intended. This includes verifying failover between redundant devices, confirming that health checks remove only truly unresponsive servers, and testing sensor detection against real-world attack scenarios. Without validation, organizations cannot be confident their defenses will perform under pressure. For example, a simulated denial-of-service test can confirm whether rate-limiting rules on the load balancer work effectively. Regular validation transforms security from assumption into assurance, demonstrating that controls function when they are most needed. Legal and privacy considerations also come into play when inspecting traffic at scale. Deep packet inspection, TLS decryption, and sensor logging can expose sensitive personal data, potentially creating compliance challenges under laws such as GDPR or HIPAA. Organizations must balance the need for visibility with regulatory obligations, often implementing strict access controls, retention policies, and data minimization practices. For instance, storing decrypted packet captures without safeguards could lead to privacy violations. Aligning inspection practices with legal frameworks ensures that defenders respect both security needs and individual rights, avoiding liabilities while protecting assets. The greatest benefits of load balancers and sensors emerge when they are tuned, secured, and integrated into the broader architecture. Load balancers enhance performance and resilience, while sensors provide critical visibility and detection. Each, however, requires ongoing care. Tuning health checks, managing signatures, planning capacity, and enforcing secure management practices. When integrated thoughtfully, they act as complementary pillars, one optimizing availability, the other strengthening detection. The outcome is a balanced environment where performance and security reinforce one another, ensuring that organizations meet their goals while remaining resilient in the face of evolving threats. Thanks for tuning in to the Bare Metal Cyber Prepcast, your trusted source for cybersecurity news and insights. Remember to subscribe at baremetalcyber.com so you never miss an update. And visit cyberauthor.me for best-selling cybersecurity books that equip you with expert knowledge. Until next time, stay secure and stay vigilant.